So these are our 2-word problems for the week. So we have our first one right here talking about Tina. Tina completed 2/3 of her homework. George completed 7/8 of his homework. Tina and George had the same amount of homework. Who completed the greater fraction of homework? Well, our key thing is they completed the same amount. So that means I need 2 bar diagrams that are the same length. Maybe it was 2 pages, maybe it was 3 pages, but they completed the same amount. So this first one is Tina. The next one is George. Tina completed 2/3, so we're filling in 2 parts out of 3. Our next one is George. He completed 7/8, so we need to break this up into 8 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And he completed 7/8 of it. So looking at that, who completed George? Or who completed George? Who completed more? That'd be George. We could also check by doing equivalent fractions. 2/3 blank 7/8. And remember, we need to have that denominator that's the same. So we list our multiples of 8, 16, 24, 32. And then we list the multiples of 3 until we see when that appears. But I know my multiples of 3 are pretty well because I know 24 is the only one that 3 goes into. So that means my denominator would be 24. And then how did I get from 8 to 24? That was times 3. This was times 8. So whatever I do to the denominator, I have to do to the numerator. So 7 times 3 is 21. 2 times 8, since that's what I multiply down here by, is 16. And 21 we know is bigger than 16, so that's still the same, George. So George was our more astute student. Now on to our next one. Mary says that 1/8 is greater than 1/4 because 8 is greater than 4. Is Mary's reasoning correct? Explain. So just to check with a model first, here is the same amount. Here is 1/4. Here is 1/8. 8 pieces. And just looking at that, we see this 1/4 is bigger. So right away we know that Mary is not correct. So we could use this model as an explanation. We could also write in a sentence. Mary is not correct. Why? Well, they each have 1 piece. But the 1/4, oops, and I put 1/4 fourth. That was my mistake. But the 1/4 piece is a larger piece. Because it's broken up into 4 pieces. And not 8 pieces. Remember, if you break it up into more pieces, those pieces get smaller. All right, that's it for this part. So now we'll head on to the next one.